Hey guys, Chaps here. We've basically reached the end of the content cycle for Gears 4. The Coalition have a few challenges left for us, but I'm not expecting any big game changers. Being that we're at the end of the line, we thought it would be nice to step back and take a look at some of our favorite cosmetics from Gears 4. This week we'll be taking a look at characters. I'll share my views, Jessie will share hers, and we'll cap off with a little discussion. Before kicking things off, I wanted to set up a couple ground rules for this listing. Number 1, I will be excluding existing characters or people from other games. Number 2, I'm going to ignore the main characters from the campaign, basically all the named guys. And number 3, I'm going to ignore the standard enemies. Starting off my list for best new skins are the zombie skins, and that's Zombie Min in particular. I hated these at launch, but after TC updated the brains dialogue to only be after headshots, I started to like them a lot more. I really like the way they incorporated the cause of death into many of them. In my opinion, we shouldn't have a zombie variant unless that character has actually died in the game, and in that case, the zombie character must reflect the cause of death. That would be pretty cool if we got to see that again in Gears 5. Up next, we have Mr. Red Velvet, or Spectre Swarm Grenadier as you know him. I honestly don't know what it is about this guy, but this was my go-to at launch, and it stayed that way for quite a while. I imagine it was the contrast of the red and white that I liked, but I don't know, it just reminds me of Red Velvet. My next choice would have to go to the Black Steel characters. I'll start off by saying that I am super disappointed that the COG didn't get Blue Steel, but whatever. The dark color with the nice distinguishing lines just looks so cool, and is probably my favorite skin variant that we've seen across a range of characters. Now we get to one of the newest skins in the game, the Stalker Kantus. I'm not really sure which one I prefer, but I think I'm gonna go with this guy. The Elite Stalker Kantus in particular is what does it for me. I usually love the black and gold combo, but on the standard Stalker Kantus, its features just blend together too much. The silver on the Elite really pops, and this is certainly one of my favorite characters that TC's added. So in just looking at my top 5 favorite aesthetic skins, the number 1 spot is going to be the character that I personally use in multiplayer, and that is the UIR female. In particular, for me, that's the Black Steel UIR female. There's something about the UIR model that's so simple, yet it's so interesting to me. The UIR male still looks cool, but he's too bulky, and I just prefer the more slender female variant. What do you guys think of these choices? And what are yours? What would be your top choices for characters? Are there any that you'd love to see return in Gears 5? Or what about characters that are missing? Chaps. So hopping back to the UIR theme there, it's pretty awesome to finally get to play as these characters. They've been explored in the lore for a while, but we had really yet to see them featured in a game until Gears 4, outside of, I guess, a little bit in Judgment. But speaking of the lore, I wanted to sidestep into a few additional skins to discuss. These aren't necessarily my favorite skins based on looks, or maybe they break my initial ground rules, but I think they're worth mentioning. To start off, we've got the NCOG Marines, Naval Dizzy, and Lieutenant Dell, and JD. The amount of detail that went into these characters is amazing, and it's really cool to see the Coalition expanding the lore through multiplayer characters. By adding these, it really makes the player start to question how they fit in and what the backstory is. I think we'll probably get into some more discussion on that later, so I won't go into a ton of detail now on each of these. I'll just leave you with this. If you haven't gone in and stared at them yet, do it. You're bound to find something that sparks your interest. Next, I wanted to recognize the Lambent characters that TC brought over. Most of the ones that they've brought over from previous games look pretty true to the previous version. On these though, TC turned it up to 11. The glow and textures on these characters is so cool. Big props to the character artist on this one. And the last bonus character I have here is probably one you've all been expecting, and my personal choice for Swarmside character, and that is the Big Red Boy. I'm probably biased here, but this dude is so sick. I'm kinda disappointed that TC doesn't have more skins like this. The red is a nice contrast to the blackish theme on most characters, and the glowing orange, red, whatever really helps it stand out. I'd love to see Gears 5 bring more skins of this nature into the game. As cool as some of the new skins are in Gears 4, TC also had quite a few duds. Let's take a look at the top 5 skins that I certainly don't want to see returning in the future. Kicking off the list at number 5 are the Festive skins, on the COG side that is. I have no issue with the Swarm side ones, but the COG are just too bright and colorful for me. I personally like having some colors that pop out, but not as the foundation of the character skin. Up next at number 4, I'm going to bunch in all of the helmetless variants. Some of these were nice to have, but then it seemed like TC got lazy and just started throwing them in left and right. On top of that, they're all basically the same and have the same face and vocals. So while these aren't necessarily bad, we're oversaturated with them now, and they have no distinguishing features. Taking the number 3 spot are the Day of the Dead characters. I don't mind some silly weapon skins or some standout colors in certain aspects of characters, but I'm really not a fan of the silly character skin, so these just don't sit right with me. The weapon set's good though, I kinda like that one. Sticking with the silly skins, we arrive at some of the more controversial skins in the game. Wrestler and Luchador Oscar take the number 2 spot for me. Honestly, these were super close to taking the number 1 spot. Like, really, TC, what were you thinking? I get that you wanted to try something new, so you put out a giant dude in a diaper, and at that point you were probably already working on Diaper Dude 2.0, but after Luchador's complaints, was it really wise to continue and release the Wrestler variant? Again, I like silly weapon skins, but let's keep at least some dignity with the characters. Taking the number 1 spot on my list, I'm going with the COLORBLAST. To me, this just seemed like a lazy way to artificially increase the skin count. Not only that, but the characters don't even look good. Please TC, for everyone's sake, don't do something like this ever again. I mean, I don't think you will based on the feedback, but I just want to be clear with that. I'd rather not even have them as an option over having them take up space in my character selection screen, not to mention taking up space in the RNG loot tables. So with that list wrapped up, let us know, but more importantly, let TC know which were your least favorite characters. Which characters do you never want to see again? And with that, we're going to wrap up my list for characters in Gears 4. Thanks for stopping by, and stay tuned later this week for Jesse's thoughts and some additional discussion. In the meantime, go ahead and check out some of our other content linked over here. If you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and hit that sub button to stay up to date. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I will catch you next time.